How you guys feeling?
I'm gonna tell you, this is a live crowd, for real.
They're excited, man.
Love you back.
My favorite song, I mean, we've got to start with entertainment, right? Is in the club. Mm-hmm. The line, I'm fully focused, man, my mind on my money. And I got a mill out the deal and I'm still in the grind.
Yeah.
Like that hits me every time I feel that, right? And I know what it means to me because I see so many people, they're not focused. They let distractions hit them. Right. And those distractions deter them for wherever they want to go in life. But then a lot of times when people achieve what they wanted to achieve, they don't stay focused and they get out of the grind.
Yeah, people become complacent at points after they achieve some level of their success. They'll go, I did it, I made it. You need to always reassess where I'm at and create a new bar, like a higher.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that your book talks about that I love is that it talked about, and I don't know, how many of you know 50 Cent? Good show of hands. But how many of you kind of know his story, where he started, where he came from? Okay. Yeah. If you're not familiar, let me just see a show of hands. If you're kind of not familiar. All right, so let's do this. We'll do a little backstory, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important, because we're all family here.
I'm the only child. My grandparents had 9 children. My mom is the one of their 9 children that got killed. And she had me at 15, my mom. So like when we lost her, I was 8 years old, and I had to go into my grandparents' house as the new number 9. So it's cool. It wasn't that bad. So look. It sounds pretty rough, right? But the circumstances that I grew under, I didn't really have an option to allow those things to make me feel like I couldn't make it or couldn't do what I wanted to do with my life.
No, but so you started at a young age. Kind of share with everyone where, for those that don't know your background, like those challenges and, the first question, Brixton. So I played in the club on the way here. Don't judge me. We left the Black Robe. And I would pause it so Brixton could hear, and I would reround the lyrics because, some of these lyrics I feel like I was funny because I was like, when was that album came out? And he's like, 2003. I was like, yeah, I was broke. But I remember the music, but I still was wired this way. You all understand that, right? I'd made some money in the past. I was up and down. Nobody knew I was broke because I pretended really, really well. But one of the things in the club, it says, and I walk with a limp. And Brixton said, well,
why does he walk with a limp?
Yeah. And I said, we got shot. He goes, well, where did he get shot? I go, I don't know. That's a good question to ask him. First question Brixton asked, he comes up and he says,
do you walk with a limp because you were shot? I said, yeah. He said, where'd they shoot you? I said, all the wrong places.
I think I read in the book or saw an interview, but you were talking about you got shot, but the guy that shot you.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't work out so well for him.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting because your perspective was you're meant to be here for a reason.
Right.
How old were you?
That was 2000. I was, I can't remember. I'm using that answer from now on. My next birthday, I'm going backwards like Benjamin Button.
Yes.
Nah, because I'm starting to get old, man. You tell when you get old, when you do things you've been doing in your life for a long time, and it feels different. Like when you go to the gym, it hurts. This is how you know you're getting old. When you start feeling a little different, you're like, I remember this. I did this for a long time, but it just seems like these weights are so much heavier.
But what are some of those challenges? I mean, growing up, didn't know your dad, your mom died, you went and lived with
my grandparents.
Your grandparents. Then you get out, and I know that your first call it hustle, call it entrepreneurship, venture, call it whatever you want to,
Right.
was your goal was to get some sneakers.
Yeah, yeah.
And how did some of those challenges, because one of the things that we've talked about this weekend is like how our trials, tribulations, our challenges, they give us power if we allow it.
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
how have those challenges kind of shaped you?
Yeah, I think the things you go through make you who you are, right? And not just the things that you're personally experiencing, but if you're close enough to a person to empathize with them when they're going through it, then you're going through it too. You know, and in my experience, I had things that my mom's choices, like she had made relationships and went in a direction that was the circumstances that she had me under. She was 15. Teenage pregnancy wasn't as common as it is now, and we got programs set up so they can go get a job, work, and do things and make things happen, even if these things happen earlier than we expected them to happen. But because in that time period, you had to have a blue card to work during the summer months, and you also had the only other option was for you to be on welfare. And that was around and in the environment that I was from. But it wasn't the option that my mom chose because she wanted to more for me. So she got involved in street activity, illegal activity, and the things that even after she actually got killed, the people that had what was representation of financial freedom to me was from my mom's life. I still see they had Cadillacs, Bondevilles, Regals, their jewelry, things that symbolize excessive living. Or you had to have more money than you needed to spend it on these things. And my grandfather was representation of tradition to me. So his life, he simplified things. Like he just went to work, he came home, he just gave my grandmother his check. I didn't understand that. I couldn't understand that. You know, that there was a point that I identified that Friday was the day that he would give the check. He was so conditioned to sacrifice for us that it didn't matter. He would just give it all up. So when I saw him on Friday, I said, hey, can I have $5? Like I asked for some money and stuff. And he would give it to me, but there was like one time I asked him, he said, I ain't got no money. I said, you gave all the money? He said, what you say, you little shit? I went running up the steps. I came back down. I gave him, I had $26. I gave him the 20. I said, hey, you want some money? I gave it to him. He said, where you get this money from? I said, you give it to me. And he said, I give you this money? I get back to you Friday. Because it was every other Friday. It was just, I was so young, I didn't know. I just knew Friday he would give the money. And later, because I didn't understand, I was a kid, so he goes, I said, I'm never going to understand how you just gave her all the money. He said, well, you couldn't see it because you was a kid, but when I gave your mama the money, it stopped her from looking at things that I couldn't give her. And then I understood it a little more.
That's strong. What do you think, because the thing that you used your circumstance and what you had in front of you kind of grew where you were planted to get your start in business or life or your journey,
right,
ever how you want to look at it. But then you kept going to another level. So, you went from the street business to going into entertainment,
right,
rapping, and then you kept setting a new goal. What are some of the traits that you think is important? Because we have a lot of, everyone in here aspires for more. That's the name of the event, right? Like Adam, mentor mine, told me, well, you want to make more money? Well, become more.
Right.
Because if you don't become more, you can't make more.
Right, people who don't want anything, I have no interest in interacting with them at all. Nah, you gotta find things to want and create expectations for yourself. Like when I told you about, I bought my first tour. I came back, my only bills was $800 a month at an apartment. I went on tour, I came back from the Rock the Mic tour, I had $38 million, right? When I got back off the tour, I sat with a journalist and she was telling me about Mike Tyson's home in Connecticut. And I was like, yeah, and she said it was for sale. I said, I should buy it, right? And I went to see it, and then when I talked to my business manager, they was like, yeah, that's a good idea, because if you don't spend the money, they're just gonna take it. like the IRS is going to come take that money out of there anyway. So I ended up getting the place, right? And for me, it was confirmation of success, that property. It was 55,000 square feet. It was a huge house. It's 55,000 square feet, had 6 kitchens, well, three full kitchens, 3 half kitchens.
Oh, we're gonna have to go back.
Upstairs had 37 bathrooms.
You want to go backstage?
Indoor racquetball, basketball, outdoor both indoor and outdoor pools, recording studio, billiards, gyms, everything is like a small hotel, right? And I'll tell you, like, at that point, I needed to feel that. So if you look at things and you like, this is beautiful, it's gorgeous, that may be the house that you need to actually have at some point until you're over it. Because when you got 18 bedrooms, you're still gonna sleep on one bed. You know, and eventually, like, I grew out of it, like, but I needed to have that and feel that at that point, because it was like, yeah, I made it. Like, it felt great. And the place was so big that I have parties, and I was able to bring everybody, like 1,500 people, the Club TKO inside the house. And I have parties, and I'll go, security and people around in the house that you gotta go, man, make sure these people went home. You know, like, cause you know, I don't know where everybody at. I'm like, yo, make sure everybody went home. And then you got people that's really not trying to go home. They're staying in the rooms over there. And then I had this, I had habits from not having that, being conservative. It's like, turn the light on when you're using the light, turn the light off. Use the water when you use the shower, and then turn the shower off. But shit breaks because you didn't use it. So you don't turn the lights on that side of the house, then you come and it flickers, and he's like, man, I started to feel like this place is haunted. This house is like this because of Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, why did I buy this shit when things didn't go right for Mike, and then I'm sitting here like things are supposed to go right for me? You know, like, these are things that would pop in my head. Like, you know, at that point in the experience, I go, I had the chance to always do what I wanted to do, because I said, as long as I'm working, I can do what I want. Like, I can just, it's cool, it's fine, don't worry about it, because I'm still doing all of this. And then how would I, like, you'll see artists make really strange decisions to buy really elaborate things, and you go, okay. And you must then look at how that goes, because eventually you don't sustain the same energy or the same interests. Because, like, hip-hop culture or music culture is hip-hop is youth. It's youth culture. You know what I mean? And a lot of the other energy, love music gonna stay the same, right? Remember R&B music required buttons? Yeah, that's gonna be cool regardless. You're gonna have a reason to enjoy that, right? But what's hip and what's now in music culture has gotta come from what's happening right now, you know? So they have to be out and involved in it. And it's been really interesting, man, because after the music took off, the opportunities opened up for me to make investments, because I had acquired the financial ability to do it, and the popularity made other companies come to me and want me to do brand extension and opportunities and stuff. So, you know, I was conscious of what I wanted to do. I committed to Glasso vitamin water. I did a deal with them. And that deal went over very, very well. There was a private-owned company based in Queens, and they understood the momentum that would happen when I got involved. And they eventually sold the company to Coca-Cola for $4.1 billion. And I made a lot of money because I didn't take the cash up front. I had equity involvement in the company.
Now, why did you do that? I didn't even ask you. I'm just curious, like, why? Yeah. Because most people would want the cash, the instant gratification.
Yeah, but I was already making so much money from music culture at that point that it didn't make sense for me to look for the short money. You gotta look at the long term. Thank you.
Wrong. But most people in life, because of society, they look at what they can get now,
right
and
now.
They don't give themselves a chance to go long.
Even the company, the reason why I was able to have back end money on the actual deal is a lot of they provided stock options to people that were employees at the company. And because they were living in the now, like they can go, well, we can move to this new house. Junior can have his own room. We can do this, do this. Like they spend the money in advance in their mind, right? And because of that, they were willing to part with those things that turned into a bigger lump of financial gain for me in the end, because this is true, what you're saying. Is people do live in the now, what they want now.
And it's hard because, especially social media and everything now, like when you and I think we're probably around the same age. I don't know. I mean, I might be a lot younger. No, I'm joking. But you didn't have all the social media and a lot of pretenders and then all the flash and the noise of comparison of wanting to live in the now, I think, has even gotten bigger than when we were growing up.
Way bigger. First of all, it's a presentation. She took 500 selfies. She showed you one. It's the best one of the 500 she took. Like that, that motherfucker ain't that pretty. She had a filter. She had that filter on them pictures. We seen her. It did not look like that picture. But that's what happens. So they're offering the best version of their life. And at points when things aren't as exciting from your perspective, it can be depressing at points. You look, you go, what is this? Why is she here and I'm here? And we just can't allow, you gotta register it as a presentation. So it doesn't upset you in any way when you see these things consistently, because it is that. People, they go, like a friend of mine is a stylist. She has a friend that she posts everything for to put on the actual page. So you see her, it's the flyest stuff in the world. You go, what? The stuff they didn't even put out yet, designer clothes, you be like, God damn, you know Christian Dior? Where you get that one from? I thought it was fake until they said, no, it just didn't come out yet. Supposed to, and I'm like, wow. But her presentation would make it, the guy that meets her is going to take her to the best possible place he can take her, because he looked on her page and he said, yeah, she's used to nice stuff. You know that question when they go, yeah, right after they ask you your name and they had a brief communication with you, they go, what's your IG page? Let me take a look at you, what you really got going on and shit. That's how they do the research. Oh, who you are now, right?
That's true. So I'm as pretty as I look on an IG, though, don't you think? No, I'm just joking. No, so I don't even know where we were going with this conversation. No, but I think that it's important for people to hear long-term thinking because in our business too, it can look like an overnight success. People can go from zero to making a lot of money, and a lot of money is relative, right?
Right.
You've never made $3,000 in a month before, and you're making $30,000. Yeah. It's easy to spend that money before. Your lifestyle changes.
Absolutely.
But if you don't stay hungry through that process, it'll leave you too. Like what got you there won't get you to another level. It'll only take you backwards. But I think that in seeing your trajectory, and I ask you this question because you hit 2002, 2003, and it just took off, right? Mm-hmm. And it would have been very easy for you to be very comfortable,
right.
And just quit pushing yourself, which a lot of people do, whether it's entertainment, business, or whatever. What kept you hungry? Like what was it inside of you that kept you wanting more?
Yeah. Well, I came with an idea of building a whole brand, like with G-Unit. Like then, since you recognize, yeah. And initially it was to do something in urban clothing, and then it grew as I went. Like there was an opportunity with Paul Fineman over at Reebok, and he lost the bidding war for LeBron James with Nike, and they had like $80 million laying there from that deal, and he decided to do lifestyle branding, so it turned into G-Unit sneakers and Sean Carter sneakers, Jay-Z and Daddy Yankee.
Okay. And so that's what you entered in, so you kind of began with the end in mind.
Right, and then it kind of changed. It changed the shape because G-Unit Records at the time, with Interscope Records, I had done a deal, and they gave me $15 million to produce records over there, and it was going extremely well. And then G-Unit Film and Television didn't come till later. Like because my interest in the other side, because like when artists make musical choices, I hear it, I go, oh, it's cool. Like if I had the same production, I could have made a song that was very similar. You know what I mean? It may not have been exactly the same, but close, you know?
Right.
And it's not as exciting to me as some of the films and television stuff that I saw happening. And I started, you know, to play in that area. So first, I raised $200 million. We broke it into 10 pitches. I sold the domestic rights to Lionsgate, and we sold each international territory. Like the film business, I had a model that I copied from R.V. Lerner with Millennium. They're actually producing the new Expendables with myself and Jason Statham and Stallone. Yeah. So that's what I do at the end of this run. I go to Bulgaria. I'll be in Bulgaria in the trees with prop weapons. You know, but I copied Ivy Lerner's model because they sell those films. Like when you get a name like Stallone, overtitled, they know it's action genre. They know what they can get for it in each territory already. So they could sell that feature film on a poster. They didn't even watch one frame of the actual film. So I always say that the projects will be as good as the passion we put into it. So we find people that are really
Can you say that
excited about
again, just in case someone missed it?
Right.
The projects would only be as good as...
the passion we put into it, right?
That's strong. It's true, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's the truth. Like, you know, I think the only thing that separates people is passion. You know, like when, look, you see how I pick on Floyd Mayweather? Yeah, you know, he's not the best reader, but he can fight, man. He's one of the best fighters in the world. Like, you know, but when he committed to fighting, it's the excitement of watching his mom, his sisters, watch his dad fight. He fall in love with it. So it could be pretty similar to watching the influences, the Mannings. He teaches two sons to throw the ball to each other until they become NFL Super Bowl quarterback winners. Venus and Serena, right? Their dad helped influence them. You got Kobe Bryant's dad was a basketball player, you know. Even Earnhardt, right?
Yeah.
The race car driver.
Yeah.
You in the car, he keep doing 200, 120 miles an hour down the street. You get used to it. Right? If everybody in your family is driving 120 miles an hour, you go, yo, look, we just going to the store. You're like...
So what influenced you? What's been some of the greatest influences in your journey?
Yeah, I had to kind of create that for myself because I didn't have those influences. My dad wasn't around. You know, so I'd pick something that I seen someone accomplish, and I'd go after it. You know, like if you don't have competitors, create them. Ooh. Yeah, you don't have to notify them. Yeah, you don't have to tell them that I'm competing with you. You know, but you can be like, she's good. She's good at it. If the person's good at it, you use that person. The competitive energy, it helps you work when you're tired.
So what made Magic Johnson?
You know,
Magic Johnson. If he didn't have Larry Bird.
Yeah, no, it's not even the same guy if you don't have Larry Bird.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, having someone else that's that good.
Pepsi wouldn't be Pepsi, or Coke wouldn't be Coke without Pepsi.
Yeah, you can practice more because this person is so good. Look, I pointed out to you that there's guys that rap better than me, right?
I'm not going to do it right now, man. I'm not.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, these guys are really talented, and I said they rap better because it's easier for them to do it. Like I had to work at it to do it, and I said they can out-rap me, they outperform me. I watch the show sometimes. The guy did a good job, right? And I'm like, damn, I'm not jumping off the thing. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, cool, I came here to do the song. Like, Michael Jackson didn't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not, like, I'm like, there's a lot of other references where people didn't have to jump off the stage, like, to dive. And then, what if the people move? You know, these are all things that you should assess before you just go jumping, right? And then you look, I'm like, look, I say they may be able to do those things, and it's exciting, but they're not gonna outwork me. And this is why they come in They're not. And it's like, once you enjoy what you're doing too, like this, it's the whistle while you work concept. You know, like I don't believe people can beat you at it once you believe in it. You love it enough to do it. This is how you become great. Like even, like, there's people that I pointed out, they fell in love with the sports and the things that they're doing so early that they were able to do it long enough to be that good at it. Like they put the work in.
And they fall in love with the work,
With doing
like
it, yeah.
with the grind. Or, I mean, when you said made a meal out of Dylan, stay in the grind, like some people become obsessed with the growth, the grind,
Yeah.
like seek out challenges. Like,
Yeah, you want to go to there's the next level. There's always a new level. Like when I came in, my first album is the largest debut in hip hop album. Get Rich or Die Trying is 13 million records. And the biggest first album. But M's Marshall Mathers LP did 23 million records. So I had that as a reference constantly. Like, and he's one of my favorite people. I love him because he provided the opportunity for me. I wouldn't even be here speaking to him.
who's this?
This is Eminem.
Okay.
And everything that he does, though, that we do, because we do the same things a lot. Like, it's not necessarily financially driven. Like, there's points like that they may offers to him to be in feature films, right? And they bring it to me because they know that I'll have a higher probability of getting them to do it. And then I go, wait, how much are you gonna give me? And as soon as the numbers are good, I'm gonna see what happens. You talk to him about it, right? And I go talk to him. There was one point where they offered him $8 million to be a part of a feature film that we would have did together, playing two guys that are the heads of two different gangs, you know, white gang and the black gang, and it was a different thing. And he would be able to stay in Detroit, film it, so he wouldn't have the issue with, he didn't want to go on tour and come back and Haley be grown. So a lot of he never stopped making the music at the same pace. It's just not touring and actively out as much. And because of that, you know, like he still looked at it and was like, I just think we need to make like Warriors. You remember the Warriors, the old movie? He said, I think we need to make a movie like that. And I was like, damn, so the $8 million don't mean nothing? Okay, I'll be back. And I just left, you know. When I find that film, I'm gonna go get him. But I just got him to work recently on a new series that I have coming out on Stars. It's called BMF. And I got him to come out and play White Boy Rick for me in that actual film.
That's cool. So you and him were close.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how did so he believed in you when maybe no one else did?
Well, when you're selling 23 million records, people kind of want to do what you want to do at the record company, like, because it's a huge profit for them, you know? Like, at that point, we were paying 82 cents to produce the disc and the album key art for the actual disc, and 23 million copies of it. It made a lot of money, bro.
So how did you two connect?
Well, he actually found my material, the mixtapes and stuff like that I was putting out for promotional purposes. What I had done in that stage that hadn't been done was I did all of the promotional material in song format, and then I had a little photo shoot in the garage, but you couldn't tell he was in the garage. And I put it out, and then I put Columbia Records. So it made the bootleggers feel like they stole something. And then they was distributing it for me. And it was going on everywhere. And because at this point, I couldn't go to YouTube. I couldn't go to,
Right.
you know, like iTunes or those other points. So I had done that, and it turned the bootleggers into my personal distribution. And it got further enough for Eminem to get his hands on it. And then when I flew to meet him in Los Angeles. To this day, I was like, yo, we have personal conversations where I'm telling them, I thought it was gonna be like a camera come from behind a tree, and it was gonna be like, okay, you're being punked. This shit is not real. But the night that we did he was so excited that it was making me uncomfortable. He was like, I'm telling you, this is it. It's going to be it. I'm like, you sure? Yeah, because he was really excited. And then, like, he's the person in my music career that has never been participated or been a part of anything that was negative for me, like the entire time. So if it was something that was happening negative from the record company or from the label, he just was oblivious to it. Like, he didn't even know that. He said, what they do? Why the fuck would they do that? We go, yo, start looking for Paul. Paul, what the fuck? What are they doing? But
So, I just heard you say a record company was doing this. So you've had some stumbling blocks along the way.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it hadn't been all peaches and rainbows and glitz and glamour and.
Yeah, if you, everyone's career is gonna have peaks and valleys in it, right? So I don't think that it works one way unless it's too short.
Not the rapper,
It just
though. We're not talking
really good for a few minutes and then you're done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, other than that, if it's gonna be a long career, you're gonna have some ups and downs, or at least the emotional roller coaster. Sometimes it happens, and when it's happening, you shouldn't expose yourself at that point, because people, what I think is the unwritten law to being successful is to appear not to need anything, right? Because everybody will do you a favor when you don't need one. Like it allowed Bernie Madoff to have like an $84 billion Ponzi scheme. Because when you come and you got $5 million and he's like, my fund's full. Then you go, wait, can I give you 10? Because you run into someone else that has finances in that fund that's putting off 40% returns that makes you want to just get involved with that.
Right.
And they come back with more money. And then there's the experience, like, I think there's no sympathy for winners. And I believe that because when you see people, I use Britney Spears, for example, right? Yeah. See, when she said, oops, I did it again, that shit was hot, bro. Shit was hot. It's not even my genre of music. I liked it. It's like, I think Christina Aguilera sings better than her, but she just was the package, right? You was looking like, this shit look good. The whole thing is just, the fuck is going on, right? And but that little pigtails that she had and the little skirt, there's another image that she has that's very popular. It's when she shaved the head bald and she's swinging the umbrella her records are still selling fine at that point. Her personal life has in turmoil. And what happens is the artist community, they look at you when you go up and they go, damn, and it's supportive of it because it's new. And then when it gets there, they go, damn, if you're gonna stay up, then how am I have my chance? So they become that cloud that comes over artists that says, it's cool, but it's not as good as it was the first time. You never get a second chance at a first impression. Yeah.
Or a third chance at a second impression.
Right. No, it's just when they see you in a position where they feel like you're doing great, and
It's easier to bring you down than them level up their game a lot of times.
yeah. Well, people just don't have the same sympathy for you because they go, well, look, you're not worried about the light bill at that point, and they may have some other issues that they're dealing with that makes them go, come on, okay, so you broke up, get another girlfriend, all right? It's a million people like you. What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you don't have the opportunity to have your natural emotions, your regular feelings that everybody else has.
To be human, really. I mean,
not sympathetic to that
Yeah.
when you win it. Yeah.
So when you're going through these setbacks at different times, what do you tell yourself?
Well,
Like, what's your inner dialogue?
look, I've watched people do things like the stock market crash and they jump off the side of the building. And I go, God damn, if somebody could just tell him right now the stock market went back up. Right after you jumped off of the, God damn, man, you just making bad decisions. You know, that no matter what, that was going to go bad for that person because they didn't allow themselves to recover. You know, like this.
True. So, and then inspiration. What inspired you to write a book? And I mean, you were like decked out there.
Yeah, that wasn't even my first one. The first book.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50th Law of Power.
Right.
And who's the author?
Me and Robert Greene.
So Robert Greene, like first time, did you ever read 50 Laws of Power?
Yeah, well, 48 Laws of Power.
48, and then you're the 50th.
Yeah, he did 48 Laws of Power. He did The Art of Seduction. He did 33 Strategies of War.
So the 48 Laws of Power, I get this book 20 years ago from a mentor of mine. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm reading this if you want to read it. And I started reading it, and it's a hard read, right? I mean, because it's all about like history and like, Machiavellian type of stuff and how it applies. And I don't read the whole book. Here's a great lesson in this. But I give it to one of my friends, and she looked at me, she goes, "Oh, this book's all about manipulation." And I'm like, huh? So I go back to my mentor, and I'm like, he said, "No, it's not." He said, "Listen, when you get to a certain level, it gives you perspective on human behavior. Mm-hmm. It allows you to guard yourself from what's out there." I'm interviewing Ryan Holiday, and his mentor in writing and super, super close is Robert. And I'm like, so I talked to him for like 40 minutes off just about Robert because that book still intrigues me to this day. And then I saw that yours came out, the 50th Law of Power. I don't know if they're showing that on there. Before we get to that, what inspired you to do that?
When I saw, look, I read through the 48 Laws of Power, and then when I got to The Art of Seduction, I was like, who is this guy? Like this, and then I saw that he wrote 33 Strategies of War, and I didn't. I just wanted to meet him, really. Like, I just wanted to meet him. And then when I had him come and I was talking to him, I met him. I was like, oh, okay, now I get it, because he's like an extreme history buff, where you could tell him something that you experienced, and he could run parallels with historical figures right in front of you.
And everything's a pattern in history, a pattern in life.
Right, like we're not doing anything for the first time. Like someone's felt and done a similar version of what we're doing under different circumstances. And then when he broke it down, I was like, but this is a little different, because you know how you see people that go out and they just stutter, they're nervous, energy, and in front of a lot of people and things like that. That happens, when they're not relaxed at that point. Then all of a sudden they have this speech impediment thing going on. I had the opportunity to talk to him and kind of learn from Robert on that note. And it was like, a lot of times I've seen people not move forward because they're afraid. Their fear holds them back a little bit. So yeah, imagine when not in the classroom, but in the conference room, when someone else is there and they're talking and they're asking a question, the boss has a problem, and you know the answer. But the other person just told your boss that, then that person is going to move up before you. That they deserve, it's clear their value is a little more clear, because they're creating the solution by giving the answer at that point. And you know the answer. So you just let that person move ahead of you, because your fear will allow you to just sit quietly, because you don't have to have the answer at that point. You don't necessarily say something, but that would move you forward. Like, people are conditioned to ask when when you ask for something, we need an answer. We need something to come back. It's confirmation. I had a guy that worked for me that would, if I asked what time we leaving tomorrow, he would give me a time, like every time. So sometimes it was the wrong time. He said, 10:30, we got to be ready for 10:30. Everybody got to be downstairs. I'm like, okay, cool. And I kept asking him, because he would always have the answer. And then later, he would come back and knock on the door and say, yo, I'm sorry, we're leaving at 8. And I was like, is he doing that on purpose? But I never stopped asking him, because he always had an answer. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just one of those things that I did pick up. Like, and I was on a film with Bruce Willis, right? And we was doing the film was called The Setup. It was me, him, Ryan Presley, and and some other people that wasn't necessarily going to sell a film for us. So we was there, the important people, right? So now look, while we was at the dinner, he was being really soft-spoken. Like, he was intentionally going, yeah, you know, I think this is good. Like, it's going to be great. And I'm like, what's he trying to say? Like, why is he saying? He knew that he was the focus at that point, being number one on the call sheet of the project, and he was forcing people to damn near come across the table to hear what he was saying. He was controlling them at that point. That's like, if a person is, when you're conveying information, we look for that slight nod, some sort of confirmation that you're actually registering the information, right? And you can control a person that's trying to convey that information if you're just blank. If it's important to the success of the actual project or to the company that you understand that person will stop, focus on you, and talk to you because it's important that he reaches you at that point. And then later, after he's paying attention to you, when you go outside and say, yo, you really on point, man, because I'm watching you, I'm learning from you. He goes, so he did get it. And he is conscious of that person. If I got to move somebody up, I'm going to move that person that's paying attention to me, that's really, really in here focused, right? And then that's just a few things that I ran into, you know what I mean? And trying to figure out how to put it into a format in a book for people to understand is a lot more difficult than to just say it.
But it's awareness,
You know?
right? I mean,
Yes.
it's half a life. Like, once you become aware, then the whole game changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. You guys like that? I want to meet the author now, too, though. Anyway, because his stuff's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then what inspired this book?
Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. When they came and they was like, they wanted to do something in the self-help, I didn't want to do it because I thought that those people thought they were experts until they were talking about even exploring the mistakes. And then I was like, okay, now this is cool. So then I got into it and I wanted to do it. And it was like, for me, the things that you do to become successful, I think you continue that path. Like, you continue it's not going to be what moves you to the next level, but the habits of going to make it happen from the beginning or what take you to that next level. Because you'll make adjustments as you go, but it's a different, like, currently I'm not trying to fight for the #1 slot on Billboard, but I'm the #1 television show. So you look.
And what does that show to so one of the questions I asked him when I first met him was, because I did watch Power,
Right.
and that's a cool show. But I asked him, I said, what's one of the most exciting projects that you have going on right now?
Raising Canaan is Power book. That one is out now. But look, when these projects, it's not finding a new audience. It's going where your core audience is. See, so the people that, let's say, they're in college, having an adult experience for the first time and enjoying going out and being social and interacting. At that point, my music is so prominent that you don't do that without me at that point. And now, they're older, so they've matured, they have responsibilities, got kids, different things are happening. So they're not going to the nightclub every available moment, and they may not attend the actual nightlife, but they'll go to the actual, they buy their liquor from the liquor store instead of from the bar, or from the nightclub. They enjoy themselves on a different level, and sometimes in the comfort and the privacy of their homes, they indulge in things that way. So Monday through Friday, they're working on something. Saturday is a good time to go out and enjoy yourself, and Sunday is a great time for television. So I didn't mind competing for the slot when Game of Thrones was there. Like, we was on a Saturday night, and then I moved to Sunday to be with them, and I mean, it was pretty tough going up against flying dragons and shit, but thank you. What happens after the success of Power is I was able to convince them that Power is like Marvel, like a universe, and I was able to make Power Book 2 which is Raising Canaan, the character that I played on Power. And so you see his journey.
That's very cool.
And then,
I need to check it out.
all right.
Excellent. You okay to do some questions?
Yeah, fine.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. My name's Mandy. I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Hey, Mandy.
Hey, everybody. Okay, so Eminem believed in you before you really believed in yourself. What was your magical moment for you when you started to actually believe that in yourself?
No, I believed in myself. That's why I was doing it.
Oh, okay.
But I needed him to embrace it for it to be what it became. Because he was that factor that made me have what the music business, the real music business support from everybody else that was in the system, in the actual record company.
He was the
It was
validation.
priority.
Got it.
Yeah, it was a priority.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jennifer from Austin, Texas.
Austin.
Hey. So in your book, you said for every setback, there's a comeback.
Right.
So when you were set back, what's the one thing that you told yourself to start the comeback rather than stay down in that? And then I have the second part is, what's after Raising Canaan?
Right. When I say that, like I've been saying that to myself forever. Like my setbacks are for my get backs. Right. So it's because I'll get like that moment defines how good things are when it's working. Like, so if you don't have a point where you feel like something, even minor losses, it don't have to be the tragedy of everything's just crumbled, right? But when you feel like something is going down or something's going lower, your concern and what you're doing at that point, it leverages your joy. When it's working the right way and everything's in place, if you don't know, we can't know joy without identifying with pain.
That's strong.
Right.
It's polarity, right?
Yeah.
Like we know love's real because it hurts so much on the other side.
Right. And you know love is special when you're getting divorced. Because that contract, they should have redid that contract, right? That contract is the oldest contract in the world. You know, like
Hey, you're opening up a wound, man.
the worst place. Look at this. Look at the top of Fortune 500 companies, right? The smartest guys in business. That we look at the CEOs, these guys. If you ask them where they took their biggest losses, they'll go, they're freeze, and it's in friendship. It's in companionship. That column where it says married and divorced is where you turn a Fortune 500 company into a Fortune 250 and
He just said it. It's a contract.
yeah.
If you love for love.
Right.
You marry, you're marrying for a contract.
You don't feel like that until you start living really well. Because the severance package is amazing. I go, God damn, like even though, think about it, you see like New York State tells me my kid course, right now I have a kid, I made a song, I have a baby by me, baby, be a millionaire. No, that was real. It's real. Like my kid's course, 1.360. No, I'm gonna pay $1,360,000 for this kid if we're not friends. If you leave me alone and never talk to me again, I'll pay 1.360. And if we're friends, it costs me so much more. Costs me so much more. Just take the kid and go. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But look. No, it's true. It's the way it is. And California, Los Angeles is the worst place in the world. For comparison, the sign, the Hollywood sign, that's being held up by bones of hoes. That's why they travel to Hollywood. I'm telling you, this is top secret shit now. But when you see what they tell you out there, Jesus. Like Dre, they just told Dr. Dre pay $360,000 a month.
No, he's on our product. Ryan and them are working with him on diet and getting back into shape. Dr. Ryan, who you met.
Yeah.
And his divorce was filed about the same time mine was, so I feel like we're symbiotic partners in this whole thing.
Wow. So you guys could just go cry together.
Anyway, money's the easiest thing in the world to fix, though.
Yeah.
It is. That's the easiest thing in the world to fix.
I'm Marvin. Thank you. From Evansville, Indiana. 50, my question is, growing up without a father, what would you say to somebody that maybe struggles to find that consistent drive and may not have the best examples to go off of, but to find that inspiration to keep driving forward?
Yeah, we have to create them. Like, if there's not, it may not necessarily be your father, like, but I had my grandfather, to use as the example, around me, like how he was the strongest guy in the household, he was the strongest man around. So I looked at him like he was my father growing up. And then I picked someone that just was having success and doing things the way I would want to do things. And, you know, I allowed that to be the example for me. It didn't necessarily have to be my dad for me to learn from it and be comfortable. It's a luxury to have that person, to have the ability to have the person right there where they can be a direct influence to you all the time. Sometimes you have to create it, know what you want, and go after it. Because I think depression is a luxury also, right?
For sure.
You have to afford to be able to be depressed, because some people got to get up and make it happen. Like, you can't not do what you have to do. Like, you know, you still got to make things happen. And then for me, I never really feel like I've achieved so much that I don't have to do something new. Like, I'm in love with the journey, like the process of having things and being successful, not just.
But let me ask you a quick question. One of the things that 50 wanted to do is leave behind some of these books. I think we have a bunch of autograph books. How would you guys like to have the opportunity? Whoa!
Wait, what they say when you do that?
So you know the name of the company is Prove It. So the whole inspiration behind not selling a product, it's about building a brand.
Right.
And being able, to me, to build something to last, just like he's told you all. He's not selling to new audiences. Anything that lasts today has a thriving community behind it. A community is made up of different temperaments, talents, and conviction, but they all can touch or relate to each other based on an emotional pull, emotional connection. And so when we started the company, we had the name before we ever knew what product we were going to sell.
Right.
And Prove It was a friend of mine, Rob DeBoer. He had this shirt on and said, Prove It. And he's flipping pancakes in my house. And both of us just came off of a huge business loss, so backs against the wall. And,
Wow.
And he loves apparel. So he's like, so this was supposed to be an apparel company.
Right.
And I was like, what's that mean? And he said, well, you know, prove it. No, okay. He's like, yeah, you want to be a better dad? Prove it. You want to lose weight? Prove it. You want to make $1 million? Prove it. So it's like, challenge yourself, right? Like, what is your dream? What's your goal? What's your it? Your it is your dream. It's your goal. It's your focus. And to prove something means to demonstrate that it's real, to manifest it, to pursue it. And so, like, our whole vision and mission of our company is to inspire people to be a better version of themselves by pursuing their dreams. Not the fucking accomplishment of it, because that's not what inspires people. What inspires people is something that's real when they see someone overcoming to become.
Right.
They see the journey. And so at our events, this is one of our events where it's breakthrough. You got to feel the pressure. We talked about that. And so this event, so what we do is we just create emotional anchors, because not everyone was fortunate enough to have building blocks of success, or a father figure, or a mother, or whatever it might be as a foundation. And so one of the things that we do is anytime we hear something great or something that touches us or moves us, sometimes our bodies remember what our minds don't.
Right.
And so this is a way of like pulling that energy that we felt in and saying, prove it, like, yes, prove it, just emotionally anchored into our bodies. So we take it in. Like, you know, there's magic moments around us. Everyone here can give, every one of you has something that you can teach me, or I learn from, or 50 learns from. Like, we're just not that fucking far apart.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And so that's what that means. And so when they do that, it's like an example of, yes, like, I feel it, like, I love it.
You know, the fun facts, the way you had the name first, Power, I had trademarked the name of the series for like 2 years before the series came out. Like I had it, because I did power as a fragrance.
Yeah.
And the word power means the same thing in every language. You know, that's why they put one symbol for the button on every, no matter where they made it. It's just the power button, you know, so.
Last question right here.
How you doing? My name's CJ. I'm from West Virginia. So we've been learning a lot about mindset, and we've heard from Brian, the good wolf, the bad wolf, and what we feed the most is the wolf that's going to win.
Right.
My question to you is, when you wake up in the morning and don't feel like doing something, what things do you tell yourself?
No, I still feel like I have to do it. Like sometimes I'm tired, or I don't really want to deal with talking to people that I got to work with. Yeah. Sometimes I let the phone ring longer than I'm supposed to. What do they want to say to me, Mama? Really don't want to talk to these people today, right? But I got to do it. So in order to continue progressing, I make the communications, because it's a job. If you're doing your job at that point, you make the communication short, sweet, keep it down to what you got to keep it down to, and then just continue to move forward. Like I said depression is a luxury. Some people, you got to be able to afford not to, like the bill collectors are still coming. You just got bigger bills, bro. You get bigger bills, you collect these different things. They get the big property, like when I was talking about the Tyson mansion, that property was $70,000 a month. Yeah, so it was easily $840,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you're going, okay, that's a reason to go back to work. Right? I didn't know I was doing that for that and shit. Like you go, well, no, yeah, we should go back and do some things, man. Like I'm no matter what it is, too, they're creating a new reason to continue to push forward. You know, like.
Yeah, I always said too, you put pressure on you find, even if you're doing it subconsciously,
Right.
like, you know, my business partner called me, he's like, we're going to do this, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, look, I don't want an answer, I just want you to text me yes or no.
Yeah.
And so we had this goal of when we get to a certain level, we buy a jet. Well, we didn't buy one jet, we bought 5.
Wow.
And now all of a sudden, he's like, I got 2 of them sold, but do you want to do a BBJ? And I'm like, well, what's that mean? And he's like, this is what I'm going to call. I don't want you to answer now, just send me a text, yes or no. But it's a whole nother level, right? So you kind of put your third world problems. That was literally what came to my mind when he said that. But, and if you don't create that pressure, life will put it in front of you. You know, if you start getting too comfortable and too complacent, shit will start happening just like the house. When you don't use a house, it starts breaking. You don't start use this and your power, then obstacles are going to show up that you don't like, that you don't choose.
It's true.
You guys want to give Fitty a little love, a little heart? Mr. Curtis Jackson. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, too.